Hi, everybody. This is Professor Chima, and I'm your teacher for Literatures of Conquest and Exploration, our course together for the spring. In this video, I'm going to cover the syllabus. We'll talk over the learning expectations, and I'll go over the first week's homework. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Let me go ahead and pull up the syllabus so that we can look over it together. This is our class Canvas website, and hopefully you've had a chance to glance over the syllabus. But in this particular video right now, we're going to go ahead and cover the main points together. So our class, as you know, is called Literatures of Conquest and Exploration, and I'm going to talk over the course description. The iconic texts of conquest and exploration shaped the ideas and imagination of the Americas from the point of early modern European contact till today. From Columbus's journals detailing his euphoric discovery of Cuba to Bernal Diaz del Castillo's evocative chronicle of the discovery of Aztec Mexico, our cultural imagination still remains entranced by these narratives. These narratives are incredibly important to read and to learn and to just revisit again and again because modern day debates about race, gender, indigenous rights, environmental rights, and human rights are still influenced by these particular texts and discourses. However, the unique thing about this particular course is that this course suggests that these iconic early modern texts cannot be understood unless we position them within a longer history. That is, the imagination of conquest and exploration from the formative literature of the medieval period, the Crusades. So we're going to be looking at the relationship between these texts of contact and exploration with the Americas in context with the genres, narrative styles, tropes, and cultural perceptions of others within medieval Europe, and the engagement with such minority communities such as Moors and Jews. And we'll look at how this influences the approaches towards and perception of indigenous cultures and peoples of the Americas. And in particular, we're going to be beginning with the touchstone period of Moorish Spain, the internal frontier of warfare and cultural contact that's memorialized in the Song of Roland, and which came to influence European literature of voyage and conquest in the Americas. So again, the itinerary for our particular course is going to be the Song of Roland, which is an 11th century chanson de geste, memorializing the court of Charlemagne. Floris and Blancheflower, a really beautiful, popular medieval romance of intercultural love. The Cantigas of Santa Maria, which is a 13th century song collection from Castile that visually and narratively imagines Moors and Jews. So from that medieval context, we're going to go ahead and move forward into the first transatlantic experience of exploration and conquest, which is the Portuguese voyage to the south of India through Luis de Camões's epic poem, The Lusiads. We're then going to read from Columbus's journals of his voyage to Cuba and Puerto Rico and Bernal Diaz del Castillo's account of Cortez's conquest of Mexico, punctuated by Boulain's award-winning film Even the Rain, which again is this really interesting, fascinating filmic engagement with these texts of exploration and discovery. And finally, we're going to be concluding our own voyage through this particular course through the Nawa perspective from the Florentine Codex, which is a rich 16th century ethnography of Mesoamerica. Something about this course that I do want to mention is that it's important for me that we have a dialogue between various points of view. So, for instance, in our first unit, which is on the Crusades, I paired the Song of Roland with an Arabic text from the same period called the Diary of Osama bin Munkid. The Song of Roland is the narrative of a Christian knight within Charlemagne's court. And the Diary of Osama bin Munkid is, again, another Crusades text from a Crusades warrior, but from the Arabic side, right? And so, again, having this kind of contrast between perspectives is important because there can't only be one story. We have to compare and contrast multiple stories in order to get at the truth. And similarly, when we read the texts of Atlantic and American discovery, I pair that with the Florentine Codex, which is the Mesoamerican Nawa perspective, again, to have that perspective, that contrast between multiple points of view. So that's something that you should keep an eye out for. So what are the learning objectives of our course together? By taking this particular course, you're going to be developing skills in critical thinking and literary analysis. You will be engaging with historically important primary texts. You'll be understanding and engaging with multiple perspectives. You'll be thinking about the contemporary implications about these particular texts. As I mentioned, these texts influence the way we think about human rights, the environment, race, gender, and sexuality. So that's something that I think is incredibly significant about these iconic texts. And of course, you'll be developing skills in research and for information literacy, especially in your final project. To run through our reading list together, again, here are the courses in sum. Excuse me, here are the main texts in sum. The Song of Roland, Florence and Blanchflower, the Cantigas of Santa Maria, the Lusiads, Columbus's journals, the film Even the Rain, Castillo's the true history of the conquest of New Spain, and Sahagund's The Florentine Codex. And I have an assortment of important secondary theoretical readings to accompany these primary readings. So I believe it's important to mention this particular section as well. So one of the core policies of the Department of Language and Literature is that we engage with texts of literature, film, and other important literary and cultural texts as a way of exploring the human condition. That means that we're going to be looking at the dimensions, the various dimensions of social constructs like class, gender, nationality, power structures, race, and sex and sexuality. So that's just something that you should keep an eye out for. Here are the main assignment categories for our course together this semester. The reading quizzes are 30% of your total grade. The reading journals are 40% of your grade. The annotated bibliography is 5% of your grade. And the final essay is 25% of your final grade. And we can scroll down here below to read the descriptions of each assignment category. So the reading check quizzes are quite important because we don't have the classroom setting, because we don't have the class discussions that we would have in an in-person classroom. The reading check quizzes become by default the main way to assess your learning and your engagement with the primary sources. And for that reason, alongside the assigned primary reading for each week, I gave you guys a reading check quiz to test the learning that you guys are doing from those primary and secondary sources. The reading journals are the Canvas discussion posts. Every week or every other week, I give you guys a question to reflect upon as a way of testing your communication and writing skills. The final project, I'm going to skip and I'll come back to the annotated bibliography, but the final project is going to be an essay if you choose. And so for this particular essay, you will write a minimum of 7 to 8 pages that critically analyzes one or two of the primary literary texts assigned for that semester. This also includes a works cited page in which you list your sources using MLA format. So I do give you guys a secondary option if you really don't want to go the analytical paper writing route. You do have the option of doing a project of equal labor, but in a different genre. So for instance, if any of you guys are creative writing minors, you can choose to do a creative story or a creative adaptation of one of the primary literary texts that we've read this semester. You could do a video presentation on one of the texts that we've read this semester, or any other creative endeavor based upon the reading that we've done. And to back up a little bit, the annotated bibliography is a assignment that leads up to the final project. So in the annotated bibliography, you essentially create an annotated bibliography in which you include a proposal about what you're doing, whether analytical paper or a creative project. And you should be giving and analyzing 4 to 5 secondary sources that help you analyze and define your idea for that final project. So your annotated bib should again identify the topic, the research question, why you want to explore this particular text or this particular, from that particular angle. Or if you're doing a creative project, again, what you're doing, what your into it is, what you're trying to show by adapting or presenting on the text in that particular manner. And then you should have your 4 to 5 main secondary sources that help you think through and understand your topic, and a brief paragraph description under each particular source. But we'll talk more about it when we get to the end of the semester. At this point, let's go ahead and look over the syllabus together. So, as a quick note, something that I do want to mention is that the ratings that I have over here are subject to change and to slight adaptation. So, for instance, if I get a sense that you need like you need to have a different secondary article in place of the one that I have listed, or, I need to change the page numbers that I give you to help the learning, in response to some signals that I'm getting from your past week's assignments. Or, I decide to give you a different video, for instance, anything like that. Those kinds of changes will be announced in the weekly video. Sorry, excuse me, the weekly email that I sent out. At the end of every week, I send out an email blast to the whole class explaining the homework that's due for next week. So any tweaks or changes to the syllabus will be in that weekly email blast that's again setting you guys up for the readings and assignments that's due next week. So you do want to go ahead and pay attention to the emails because again, that's where I'll be doing the tweaks. I also copy and paste the emails on the announcement tab for our class here. So for instance, if you want to look over something that I've assigned you guys that's a little bit different from the syllabus 2 weeks ago, you can go to the assignments page and it should be right there. Of course, we don't have any assignments right now, but it should look something like this, right? So again, the homework for every week is going to be available up over here. Let's go ahead and go back to the syllabus page. All right, so let's go ahead and cover the course schedule. As a brief explanation again for how to read this. So the date, again, we don't have a live class date, but so we just have the weeks, right? Week 1, week 2, and so on and so forth. These two particular columns correspond to whatever is due within that week. So, for instance, within week 1, I expect you to get introduced to the syllabus and the course policies. I expect you to watch this particular welcome video. I expect you to complete eQuiz 1 and the reading journal number 1 as well. And the specific due dates for each assignment are listed again next to each assignment. So all of this, the material within each row corresponds to whatever is due within that particular week. So week 1, once again, you complete these particular assignments listed over here. Week 2, we're going to be starting our first unit, which is the medieval context zones and the theory for medieval context zones. So within next week, week 2 of our semester together, you'll be reading Pratt, you'll be reading Maria Rosa Menocol, and you'll be completing the handout that I give you guys on Pratt and Menocol, and have it uploaded on Canvas by Tuesday, 11:59 p.m. Actually, I might tweak this date and give you a little bit extra time, but I will let you know in the homework email. Week 3. So within week 3 of our semester together, we're going to be starting our second unit, which is the Muslim other medieval and the medieval epic. So you guys will be reading Sayers, the introduction to the Song of Roland. You'll be reading this particular page selection from the Song of Roland. You'll be reading Pope Urban's speech to the Council of Clermont, which is a speech that launches the Crusades. And I'll be giving you Jeffrey Jerome Cohen's essay, scholarly essay on Saracen enjoyment. And so again, within week 3, you'll be watching my video presentation on the Song of Roland and completing eQuiz 2 upon these reading materials. So let's go ahead and cover the rest of the course schedule together. Week 4, we're going to continue reading the Song of Roland. I'll be giving you an excerpt from the Diary of Osama bin Munkit. You'll be reading the letter of Prester John, and I'll be giving you Christopher Taylor's Legend, Empire, and the Nomadic Prester John. So our third unit is Sleeping with the Moor, Romance and Conquest. So for this particular unit in week 5, you'll be reading Barbara Fuchs's On Romance, and you'll be reading Floris and Blanchflower. Week 6, we're going to be doing the Jews in Medieval Imagination. You'll be reading this particular selection that I have uploaded on the Cantigas de Santa Maria, and you'll be reading selections from the Fourth Lateran Council as well. Our next unit is going to be the Portuguese colonization of Asia. So you'll be watching this video, you'll be reading Camões's The Lusiads, this particular selection, and you'll be reading Sanjay Subramaniam's The Portuguese Empire in Asia. We'll continue with the Lusiads after that. Then we have spring break. Guys get to, cut loose and enjoy. When we get back, we're gonna be starting our unit on the conquest and colonization of the Americas. So we'll be doing Todorow's The Conquest of America. We'll be reading Columbus's The Four Voyages. We'll continue reading Columbus's Four Voyages as we go forward. After that, we'll be starting Castillo's The History of the Conquest of New Spain. Continue with that in week 12. Week 13, continue with Castillo. Week 14, we're going to be reading the Florentine Codex, the Mesoamerican narrative of the conquest. And then we'll be finishing up with Madeline Sayed. I might do a little bit extra, from the Florentine Codex in week 15, but I'll be giving you Madeline Sayed's video, A Brief History of Indian Policy, which discusses the indigenous experience of colonization from the North American perspective. And then we have finals week, and your final papers will be due by Friday, May 2nd. As a quick note, I did want to give you some texts related to North American colonization and not end the course with the colonization experience in Spain, but in an asynchronous course, you tend to have to pare down materials because we don't have the class context and class discussion that really propels us forward. So it's better to keep things a little bit simpler and tighter. And so for that reason, I had to kind of pare that out. But nevertheless, I trust and I hope that this ends up being an exciting voyage through some really exciting and iconic texts relating to conquest and exploration and engagement with cultural identity, really. So, my office hours this semester are going to be virtual. So the reason I do that is because, in my experience, everybody has such different schedules. It's very difficult to find 2 hours in a week on which basically agrees with everybody's schedule. So if you need any help with anything, you don't understand a reading, you want to talk to me, just cut back, let loose, have a conversation, or you need help with an assignment that's coming up, or just anything. Just email me, Canvas inbox, my FGCU email, and then I'll set up an appointment with you for that week and we'll talk. I believe everything else should be pretty self-explanatory. Late work, I don't really allow late work unless there's an emergency. If there is an emergency, that's fine. It's okay. I'll work with you on that. But yeah, that's basically it for the syllabus. And I think let's go to our modules. So for the first week, I'm just going to have you guys do the reading journal. That's just a meet and greet. We'll have the e-quiz 1, which is based upon the syllabus. And the last bit of thing that I do want to explain to you guys is a class Google Doc. And I'm going to go ahead and click on it in just a second. So essentially, besides the office hours that I have for you guys on by Zoom appointment, I'm creating this Google Doc as a way to give you guys some extra help on any questions or any confusions that might arise from the readings. So if there's something that you're reading that you find interesting, or if there's something that you're reading that you have a question about, pop it down over here and I will do my best to get an answer to you within that week. So again, this is extra support to you guys, and as a way to kind of engage with you guys if you guys have any questions, since again, we don't have the framework of a synchronous class. So that's the last bit of thing. And the class for Google Doc is always going to be linked to the week 1 module, and I'll be giving an invite to you guys pretty soon to join in and have access to the class Google Doc. With that, I believe that is it. If there's any questions that arise from the syllabus that I can still help you with, again, you know how to contact me and how to find me. I look forward to voyaging this semester with you through these really important and iconic texts. And I'll be contacting you soon. Take care.